Good morning, everybody. Amitofo. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, le Vénérable Master Chin Kong disait,
Venerable Master Chin Kong said in his speech that was distributed in UNESCO during the 39th General Conference session that hope for peace is born in religious cohesion, interfaith cohesion. Therefore, it is necessary to have a model so that you can.
Et à Toowoomba, en Australie, nous, c'est-à-dire le Vénérable Master Chin Kong et le Wielandt Learning College, nous avons commencé à construire la réunification de plus de 10 religions et à établir des liens entre les groupes ethniques depuis 2002. Grâce alors aux efforts du Venerable Master Chin Kong et du Wielandt Learning College d'Australie,
so the citizens of Toowoomba have taken the initiative of transforming the city into a model city for peace and harmony. I would ask all of you to be particularly attentive to the roundtable that is going to ensue, because it is a perfect example of success. And this success, I think, shows all of us that everything we work on together here are not merely words or rhetoric, but in fact we are working on projects that become reality. Setting up this particular model of success and repeating it and duplicating it in other cities and other regions is a challenge for all of us. And this is because if we were to manage to clearly understand the way in which this system operates, the machine operates, then we will be able to replicate this model of peace and harmony more easily worldwide. Thank you for your attention.
May we invite the Toowoomba group. The discussion will be moderated by Mr. Andrew Wielandt. He's the business representative, Goodwill Committee of Toowoomba. Together with his speakers, Venerable Shin, Vice President of Pure Land Learning College, Reverend Richard Tutin, Anglican Representative, Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group, General Secretary, Queensland Churches Together, Mr. Scott McGrath, he's the Chair of the Goodwill Committee of Toowoomba, Mr. Jagdish Narayan, he's the Christa Chaplain Representative, Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group, Dr. Kumar, Hindu Representative, Toowoomba, Ms. Kamaljit Kaur, Sikh Representative, Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group. She's also the Director of the Sikh Nishkam Society of Australia. Venerable Uching, Buddhist Representative, Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group. Ms. Tao Yonghui, Buddhist Youth Representative, Pure Land Learning College Association. Mr. Muhammad Hanif Abdul Razak, Muslim Representative, Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group, Secretariat of Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group. Last but not least, Ms. Chow Mei Ling, Secretariat, Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a round of applause. The floor is yours.
Toowoomba 的各宗教各行业代表慈悲尊敬的诸位嘉宾慈悲，大家早上好，阿弥陀佛。今天很高兴，我们特别
Today,
要来跟大家
we have the great pleasure
谈一谈 Toowoomba，
of sharing
也是要
our Toowoomba experience with you.
因为这是一个
And we would like to promote our city and the experience of our city. It is a very beautiful city.
这个 Toowoomba 是澳洲仅次于坎培拉的内陆的
Toowoomba
第二个城市。
is
那么它在昆士兰，我们
is a city in Queensland, in the southeast.
然后开车100分钟就会抵达这个美丽的城市。
It's near Brisbane, and then
在
you can actually walk, and you can actually take a car and go to Toowoomba. It takes about 20 minutes. So what is the meaning of Toowoomba? Toowoomba means
的春天来临的时候，
swamp in Aborigine language. It's a very beautiful place. In the spring,
会在每个地方展示非常漂
Town
亮
Hall organizes a flower festival.
开的景象所以吸引了许多的游客去摄影。
And this, of course, is very attracts many tourists.
那么今天呢，我们非常高兴来跟大家一起探讨我们
It is
在
a city of flowers.
建
We are very happy today to have these discussions with you and to discuss something which is extremely important that we discovered in Toowoomba. Master Chung Kwong talks about it very frequently. He has proposed many good concepts and principles. Many said initially to him that this was a pure dream, but our master decided to implement, to set up this project. It was an experimental city. It is the city of Toowoomba. And therefore, we have gained quite a lot of faith and trust in this endeavor, and we feel that the whole world can become a harmonious place so that we can actually fight against distrust and feelings or negative feelings. Our master set up this project to try out this experiment. The population is 120,000. It's a small town, but it is extremely harmonious. It is made up of more than 80 different ethnic groups speaking something like 100 different languages. There are many different people of different backgrounds, different cultures, different religions and faiths. And as a result, we could say that there is true cultural diversity in this particular place in Toowoomba. Thanks to the cultural diversity, the city, I think, really stands for everything that we have succeeded and wanted to succeed in achieving. The school that was set up by Master Ching Kung has established very close links with other faiths and with schools of other faiths in Toowoomba. Every Saturday we organize a dinner, and we also organize different cultural fora with local inhabitants whatever their background may be, whatever their language or their faith may be, they actually communicate with each other and talk to each other. They live in peace and harmony. In March 2012, at the South Queensland University, we organized an interfaith forum, and all the different inhabitants and representatives of different faiths decided to make Toowoomba an example, a pure example of cultural diversity, so that it would be a cultural example to all. And this, therefore, would allow a real amount of cultural harmony. We have created a conference which is for interfaith cohesion. We meet regularly during this conference. We also participate in other activities and events, celebrations of other faiths, so that we can learn from the others. And this, once again, is so that we can be together as a large family, a large group. Based on this, we come back to our roots, our own understanding of these issues, so that we can understand how we can achieve our common faith. This, therefore, allows us to really release positive energy. We are absolutely sure that on our planet we can all love and show solidarity, that we can express these positive thoughts, and that we can show what multiple faiths, understanding and harmony can achieve, so that mankind can achieve its goals more easily, which is, after all, universal peace. This is what we are all working on together in Toowoomba. This is what we are working towards. This is our common goal. And in a few minutes, I will ask the representatives of each of the faiths represented in Toowoomba to talk to us about what they do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Shin, for your comments about Toowoomba. And in fact, it's a very big weekend in Toowoomba this weekend. Shin referenced the Carnival of Flowers, Australia's largest regional carnival. We'll have around 160,000 people visiting our city over the next 2 weeks, culminating in the Carnival of Flowers, which will see around 100,000 people come to Toowoomba. And as we just heard, there's only 120,000 people in Toowoomba, so to have 100,000 people come to your city over a weekend can be a little bit challenging, but it should be fun. And as soon as I finish here, I'm flying back to be there in time. I arrive back at home 1 hour before the parade starts, so I'll be a little jet lagged, but anyway. Venerable Master Chin Kung, Venerables, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. My name is Andrew Wielandt. Thank you for inviting our group from Toowoomba, Australia, to present to you about our topic, building local capabilities in promoting religious coexistence and cultural understanding, the Toowoomba experience. The presentation this morning will be more conversational in style, whereas I will act as the moderator and timekeeper. So if you see me looking at my watch, my guests aren't boring me. I'm just trying to keep everybody on time. And we'll be asking the presenters 3 questions about their topics. Their presentations will be running in the background, and I encourage you to take notes of their slides as we are having a conversation. Hanif, over here, looking resplendent in his sports jacket, will go into more detail about this at the conclusion of his presentation, but if you're interested in discussing further with the presenters from Toowoomba about our experiences, can I please encourage you to meet with us for a dialogue session from 12:40 till 2 p.m. today in meeting room number 5. So before we begin, as a way of brief background, my biography is I'm the past president of the Toowoomba Chamber of Commerce. I'm the current chairman of the Empire Theatre, Australia's largest regional theatre, and the deputy chairman of the Toowoomba Hospital Foundation. It's through my community engagement that I was fortunate enough to meet Hanif and Mei Ling from Wielandt Learning College, and I've seen firsthand the great work that they've done in Toowoomba, facilitated by Wielandt, and I'm grateful and have learnt many things from having attended these peace conferences here in UNESCO in the past. So without no further ado, I'll call upon my first speaker, Jagdish. So for each speaker, I'll just give a brief biography for them as well. So Jagdish Narayan is a Christian and a lay preacher with the Christadelphian Bible Mission. He has been with Wielandt Learning College for the last 6 years and a member of the Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group for the last 3 years, working towards promoting and building Toowoomba as a model city of peace and harmony. Jagdish, good morning.
Good morning, Andrew.
What is your role and what do you see as the vision for Toowoomba's Interfaith Working Group?
Amitofu. I have been with the Wielandt Learning College for the last 6 years and also been the member of Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group for 3 years. And from the time Master Chin Kung decided to build Toowoomba, a model city, the process of peace and harmony became a journey. And today, as a member of Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group, I'm very happy to say that we have now moved from the tenants to the ownership of this project, the agenda. And we have shared the progress of our work that is done in Toowoomba in building Toowoomba as a model city. When the ambassadors of 9 countries visited Toowoomba in March 2017.
How good was that?
Yes, it was it was an apex, in fact, when we met with the ambassadors to share and show them the progress that we have done so far.
And indeed the community was really engaged as well, weren't they?
And the community got engaged, they got all excited, especially when they saw and heard about ambassadors from UNESCO visiting Toowoomba. Yeah. So that was a very prime, apex moment to everyone. And the vision of Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group, the question you asked, Andrew, is that our vision is that one day, all people, regardless of religion, race, or color, will come to understand the concept of love and respect for each other, and we can all live peacefully, side by side, yet maintaining our individual beliefs.
A real lofty goal and one that you will make.
It is a vision, and every faith member, of our the faith leaders of our community, most are here, and we have this one vision, the vision to materialize the vision of Master Chin Kung. And his vision was to bring peace and harmony, and we are all committed to this one vision, and to make sure that we're going to work hard to materialize this vision. And I'd like to add one thing here, that we all members of the Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group are voluntary members, and it in itself shows commitment of each one of us, and also the members of our members, the committee consists of people from different faiths, different walks of life, and some of us, including me, are from different countries, but we all are joining hands together and sharing the common goal, which is love, respect, and peace. And this community we are sharing together to make peace and harmony.
How's this sort of being promoted? How's the concept being promoted, and what media are you using to get that message across?
Today, I'm very proud to say that Toowoomba has become leaders in its commitments and have engaged in a lot of activities, like interfaith activities, multicultural activities, and the most important one is through radio program. We are very privileged to have 2 radio stations in Toowoomba. And the first one is Radio ABC Queensland through Belinda Saunders. Her program is Matter of Faith program.
Which is just behind you on the screen there as you're talking.
That's the one, yes.
Isn't that amazing? How did we do that?
Well, we had the privilege to be part of Belinda Saunders, and she offered us this time slot where each member has got the opportunity to go and share the respective events that's going to take place in the community. For example, for Ramadan festival, for Muslims, Deepavali for Hindus, Easter holiday and a festival, and Christmas for Christians, where we go and explain to the communities what it's all about, why are we celebrating, and the benefit that we're going to get from the celebration. And we invite them to come and share in the events, and to see for themselves what is, what we are and who we are and what we're doing. And the second one is through Radio FM 102.7, is another program that is called the Voices of Faith program. Here, each member presents 30 minutes talk each month on a varieties of topics and themes regarding the religious perspective, and sharing the richness and the beauty of our individual religious cultures, traditions, ethnicity, beliefs, values, and that's including our cultural songs that we put in the air, promote the food we eat, the clothes we wear, why we wear, what it means, and we tell people what really each religion is all about on the perspective of peace and harmony. The radio program we found is very effective, Andrew, because it's reaching very wide audience. It is also reaching remote and grassroots people. And we are able to express, our members, when they go in the air, they are able to express their own experience in the unique way, in the language that can be understood by people. And we're receiving very positive feedback that how people are now starting to understand the religion and inside the religion and what it means towards peace and harmony.
That's great. So a couple of minutes to go. Yeah. So tell me, what's the vision for tomorrow? You've outlined all the great work that you've done, your outreach, the communication. Looking into the future, what's the vision?
The future vision we have is a very good question, Andrew.
Thanks very much.
We have now expanded further into 2 major areas. One is investing in young youths. We feel that there is a great interest in our society, the things that we are doing. And it is becoming more evident each day when we are finding the young people, from university students, from the high school students, they're coming and sharing with us. And these young boys and girls are a mixture of all ethnic religion and backgrounds, and also including refugee students. They're all coming to us, sharing their experiences. Some of them have got trying experiences, like especially refugee people, and they're telling us, sharing how they are seeing the vision of tomorrow, what they want us to do and I believe, and it's very amazing to see these young generations started to sincerely take interest in our program, and that's very heartening. That's very encouraging, and it's a turning point, I believe, that they want to show us how the peace and harmony should be for tomorrow in their own vision. So, without a doubt, I feel that these young ones will be the leaders of tomorrow, isn't it?
And sorry, I think you're right that, with them sharing what they believe to be the vision, that's getting that ownership, that's really what's going to propel it forward, rather than, with all due respect, mature people.
Yes.
In fact, Uma and I were just talking about this, that it's really the youth that needs to take ownership and to drive it, rather than the more mature people telling people.
Yes, and it's very heartening, and I honestly believe, and I'm sincere about it when I say, that the change, these are the young people that they're going to bring the change that me and you are looking for. We are searching, but these people are going to bring it. And I'm sure that once these young people are able to comprehend the concept of love, the respect for the seniors, the elderly, and another human being, and when they're able to grasp the understanding of living freely and lovingly, I'm 100% the change will come, and the peace and harmony will blossom, and I've got no doubt in that. In the second area that we have moved, as I said, we have moved in 2 areas. And the second area that we have moved is very quickly is pastoral care. We are providing pastoral care services now. One of our members from the Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group is coordinating. Her name is Nicole Rangira.
She was here last year.
Yes, she was here last year, and she is now conducting, coordinating, and providing services to all communities, hospitals, in local communities, regardless of color, creed, race, to all the faiths and denominations. So she is doing a very great job, and this is unique for Queensland and especially for Toowoomba. So I know my time is up, Andrew. I'm not going to take any further time. No. And a last sentence I want to say is that I feel honored, privileged, and I'm very, very humbled that I have been given the opportunity to and to be responsible for all these activities that I have talked about, that it runs consistently and smoothly until the young ones take over from me.
Jagdish, thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Amito.
I now call upon Reverend Richard Tutin, and I'll go through Richard's bio as he's making his way towards the hot seat. The Reverend Canon Richard Tutin has been the General Secretary of the Queensland Churches Together since 2011. He's a member of the Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group, a member of the Executive of the Queensland Faith Communities Council, and a member of the Queensland Forum for Jews, Christians and Muslims. A little bit going on, Richard.
A little bit indeed.
So question number one, have the peace conferences that have been held in Toowoomba made a significant contribution to the creation of Toowoomba as a model city of peace and harmony, in your opinion?
I believe they have. As the Venerable Shin has said, they've been held for many years in Toowoomba, and each one has built on the foundations laid by the predecessors of the one before, because they bring participants and speakers not only from the local area but also from different parts of the world, and each participant and speaker offers their particular contribution to the conference theme, and this has caused the conferences to have gathered a core group of previous attenders, people who get to know each other. They come to the different conferences.
Groupies, one might say.
One could say that. But as well, sometimes those groupies bring new people into the orbit of the conference. And that's great too, because we're seeing people who've been coming for the first time. And not only do people invite others to come, new faces turn up because they've seen the advertising and have made the decision to attend. One of the good things about the conferences is that we ask for feedback from the participants each time, and this has led the Interfaith Working Group to respond in innovative ways, such as the non-conference discussion, which allows participants to raise any topic during an open plenary session, because people were thinking, well, we've got other questions we'd like to ask, other than what is connected to the theme. And because those topics have not been associated, or they're not always associated with those of the conference, it's really giving people an important opportunity who are both looking for both ideas and answers to the questions and the topics they raise. That's quite important, we believe. Our most recent conference was held in March this year, and the next one will be in December. But in March this year, we turned over the afternoon program on the second day to the youth members of the different faiths.
Sounds a bit dangerous?
It was a bit, well, it was dangerous, but it was great. It was heartening. They did a fantastic job.
And did you find that the same experience that Jagdish has had, that, you know, they were taking ownership relating to the vision and so forth?
With a vengeance.
Isn't that really encouraging?
Yeah, and they're doing it again in December, and that's great to see as well. And some of them went recently to New Zealand to a youth conference over there, and were very well received. So we're getting a core of youth members who are quite committed to interfaith dialogue, and certainly each one of them comes with their own story, which has been shared, and it is great to see. So
I've heard about Scripture 360. Let me just, something I prepared earlier.
Yeah. We've had a volume of Scripture 360 sitting on the podium for the entire conference. It's a fantastic compendium of 360 individual verses from each of the faiths. So each faith contributed 360 individual verses from their sacred texts. And the ones in the box set include texts from the Baha'i faith, Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, Jainism, Judaism, the Sikh faith, Taoism and Zoroastrianism. It's a fantastic volume.
How do you think it's going to, please pass it along, how do you think it's going to make a difference in people's lives?
Mainly because it's already making a difference in people's lives. We're getting anecdotal evidence of people who've, because they're searching, have been quite pleased to receive a set which they can delve into at any time. Because they're individual verses, it means that people can dip rather than having to read from cover to cover. It's something they could use as part of daily devotions. It's something they could use as part of meditation, etc.
That's excellent, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It is. And the good thing is that it's freely available. And by that it means it costs no money to acquire a set.
But this isn't like the only innovative thing you've done. Like, you've got that internet TV as well, haven't you?
Yeah, we're getting it off the ground.
So can you talk maybe a little bit about that?
Okay. The internet TV certainly came at the instigation of the Venerable Master. He thought it would be a good idea to reach, because a lot of people, of course, are using the internet for various reasons.
He uses it himself with great effect.
He uses it himself with great effect.
Not too bad for a 92-year-old.
No, indeed. They often say the older people get to use the technology. The mature
You're
people.
never old, you're mature.
Oh, thank you for that. But the idea is to further the teachings of the different faiths that are found in the Scripture 360. So it works off Scripture 360. And so the internet TV certainly will find a place. Why? Because it's 24/7. It offers that sort of access to users. It's an on-demand form of media. It can be accessed from anywhere where there's an internet connection. And viewers are not restricted to waiting for a particular program being screened at a particular time. You can go and, oh, I haven't seen this episode, or I'd like to explore that, and then go back many times if you choose to.
Dare I say it's like Netflix?
Even better than Netflix.
Well, I mean, that's a given, but I'm saying in the context of its...
But you're right, you can choose what you like.
You can binge watch something, or re-watch it,
or just
2
have
in the
one
morning,
program.
or whatever.
That's true, and often people are at their lowest ebb in the early hours of the morning, which often means that the internet TV could serve a great purpose in that regard. We're also using a media form that is becoming more popular, because people are moving away to Netflix and others from the more traditional forms of TV viewing, TV programming and viewing, because they usually run a set schedule. If you miss a program, you can't often go back. You've got to wait next week or till the following week for the next episode. So it's important. But if we had tried to do a form of TV with a free-to-air television station in Toowoomba or anywhere else, we would have been faced with a very expensive bill. It would have been a tenuous existence, because TV stations change their formats and scheduling quite frequently, and this can affect different types of programs, even if they're being paid by an organisation to screen a program. So we regard the internet TV as a cost-effective way of delving into TV, and we don't need expensive equipment to get it done either.
But I don't think, I mean, it's obviously cost effective, but the other thing, as you're saying, is it's because it's user driven. Like, you know, the user can access stuff at any time. So it sort of ticks both boxes. There's the cost box, but more importantly, from the user engagement point of view, I mean, that's a huge one as well.
That's true, but the cost of production is quite cheap as well. And I mean, non-expensive rather than cheap quality, because the quality is good. But the means by which we are able to do that is very cost effective in that regard.
Now, Richard, my watch is going off, which means sadly our time is up. But
okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I now call upon Cam Ethwell to come forward, and whilst Cam is striding forward with purpose, I will read her bio. Cam is the director of the Sikh Nishkam Society of Australia. She's a member of the Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group. There's a few of you here today. And thoroughly enjoys interacting and working with other members and learning more about their faiths. Cam is based in Brisbane, Australia, which is about 130 kilometres east of Toowoomba. Cam spends all of her spare time with her family. We saw the booties that you bought your grandson yesterday. And appreciates their support, as she wouldn't be able to carry out her interfaith working group without their support. So Cam, why do you believe in the importance of religious education or instruction for children?
Now that I'm in the hot seat, I better pay attention to what I'm saying here. Religious education or awareness of faith in our communities is important because we are all living in a very multicultural society, whether we are here in Europe or in Australia. Our children interact with other children in their classrooms or in the school playgrounds or when they're out and about, you know, whether you're shopping or, you know, going out on excursions and all that. They're also exposed to the media, and we all know what the media can sometimes do to our thoughts about other people. So I think it's very important that we do have religious education in schools, more so now because of the misconceptions that are formed within the minds of our children as well as our adults. And it's unfortunate that the education departments around the world are dropping religious education. And what I'm saying here now is nothing new that we haven't already heard yesterday from the panelists. And we'll hear again this afternoon and again tomorrow the importance of religious education for our children. You know, as I grew up with people from other faiths. And I thought I had a good understanding about other faiths until I met the people on this wonderful group here, and I'm learning a lot more about their faiths as I'm going along. But as I was growing up, I was also noticing that people did not understand each other. And by that I mean they did not understand why I wear a turban. They do not understand why the Jewish wear the little cap. They did not understand why people go to church and what they do in the church. So a lot of these misconceptions have come about because we don't open ourselves to other beliefs. And I think it's an important thing that we do that, not just with our children, but with ourselves as well.
You're right, if you're creating that environment, not only, like if it's a learning environment from home, when the children then go into a specific learning environment, you've created that right foundation to begin with. And if mum and dad and the support networks have an open mind, again, that will also help foster their thought as well.
Absolutely. And I think our children learn. The first learning school they're in is the house and our family. So if our family is open, like you just said, Andrew, to other beliefs and accepting of other beliefs, and I don't like the word tolerance, and a lot of people use the word tolerance. I prefer the word accepting. If we're accepting of other faiths, other people, you know, the way they dress, then we open the doors for our children to do the same thing. So that's their first school where they're learning. And for example, in the Sikh faith, we take our children to the Gurdwara, which is the Sikh place of worship. And the first thing everybody noticed, not just our children, but everybody who comes to the Gurdwara as well, is the food, the langar. That's prepared and served to every guest of our Guru. And our children notice that mom and dads have gone into the kitchen to help with the cooking, or they're washing up, or they're cleaning and all that. So by doing that, we show our children what we do, and then hopefully, they join in the service, seva, as we call the service, to serve other people. So they sit in the congregation initially to do their prayers, and then they also go at the back to sort of provide that seva or that service to the community. And I think that is where it starts, within our own homes. And I've just given you an example of the Sikh faith, what we do. They will also see people cleaning the hallways, sweeping, and serving, as we can see there in the slide. And we can see a small child there serving water. So this is where we are starting our children to sort of start serving other people by serving their own people first. So I think it's an important lesson that we teach our children that way. Now, again, like I mentioned before, our children will learn a lot more about our own faiths through our families, but they don't have enough knowledge about other faiths. And again, I come back to the education departments, which are dropping religious instruction, as they call it in Australia, or religious education in the schools. And I think we need to get that back to our government somehow, to say that we need to bring that back, because it eradicates the misconceptions that we create amongst ourselves by looking at what the news will display of, what the Sikhs do in India, for example, or what's happening in other parts of the world. And it's the religion that's to blame. That's not true. It's not true. Religion is not to blame for this. It's the individuals who choose to use religion to target the communities. So, and I find that many children as well from the ethnic minorities feel that they're singled out in some respects because people don't understand them. For example, in the Sikh faith, we do not cut our hair, so we wear a turban, or a patka, with the young children wear a patka. Now, if the children had an understanding, and in some schools they do, they have an understanding of what a turban is to a Sikh, that he does not cut his hair, he keeps it very clean, and he covers his hair with a turban, they're more accepting. So that difference is now something that is understood. And not only is it understood, it's also accepted. So it's okay for my son to wear a turban at school. And it's okay for his friends to see him as that and accept him as that. So this is where religious education comes in again. Now, in Australia, we do it on an individual basis or through the Niskam Society, where if there's an issue with the patka or the turban, we go and talk to the school, or we encourage the parents to talk to the classroom and tell them why their son wears a patka, or why their daughter wears a patka, why they're vegetarian. So I think it's important that we continue with this sort of education. And what we can see on the slide right now is the Harmony Tour, which is led by Pure Land Learning College. They bring primary school children to the Sikh Gurdwara in Brisbane. And over here, we take them into the main praying hall, and we tell them about the protocol of how to enter a temple, or why we do what we do as we're entering a temple, like covering our heads. Once they're inside, we sit them down and we put on a PowerPoint presentation telling them about the Sikh faith. So any misconceptions they may have had about people wearing turbans and long beards is brought out in the open. And it ends with a Q&A session. And it's a very open session. It's amazing what children will ask you. And those misconceptions that they have will sometimes come out in the questions that they will ask. And this is how we, through the Pure Land Learning College, we are sort of addressing the issues of educating our children about other faiths. Now, when they come to the Brisbane Gurdwara, they then also go to the mosque on the same day, to a Buddhist temple, a Hindu temple, and now I think the synagogue as well in Brisbane invites the children to come there as well. So this is how actively together, working together, that we're actually promoting the understanding of different faiths.
Cam, with 30 seconds to go, you've mentioned about Sikh children learning about their faith from their parents, and we saw those slides before. Can you briefly expand upon the need for this in a modern world?
Okay, in a model world, I think we all know how busy parents are. Most of us are parents here and grandparents, which I am now. I'm very proud to be. We know how busy our lives are. And we can't always be there to provide that knowledge to our children about our own faiths. Because I think if our children have an understanding of their own faith, they're better citizens. They're more confident when they go out there. So I promote and I encourage other faiths, as we can see here, the Buddhist children classes that they have in Toowoomba, to teach children our own faiths. Now, we run classes through the Sikh Niskam Society, both in Brisbane and the Gold Coast, where we teach our children Gurmukhi. Gurmukhi is the language that the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, our holy scriptures, is written in. So we encourage them, they read the message for themselves. They don't wait for someone to come and tell them. They read and they understand the scriptures. That empowers our children. And I encourage other faiths all over the world to do the same thing, to encourage their children to understand their own faith, their own scriptures, which makes them better citizens. And if they're better citizens, they can hold their head up high when they go out. And when they're out there in schools, less chance of bullying. If other children also have an understanding of other faiths, there's less chance of bullying happening. We have a better society and a well-educated community and society all in all.
Cam, well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cam, you left me hanging. Thank you. Hyungwei Tao, would you like to come forward, please? Growing up in a Buddhist family in Toowoomba, Hyungwei was one of the first students involved in the Children Foundation classes at Wielandt Learning College. And as the youth representative today, she will share with us how she looks back on religious education and how it has motivated her to promote harmony and peace amongst her peers. Good morning, Hyungwei. How are you going?
Good, thank you.
You're a little nervous, aren't you?
Definitely.
You're okay. Deep breaths. We're all here, aren't we? We're all here for her? We're all here.
Thank you.
I didn't realise you were born in New Zealand.
Yes, I was.
Wow, there you go. Currently living in Australia, so that's okay. We don't like New Zealanders. Only kidding. We like everybody. And you're now pursuing tertiary education. What are you studying?
So I'm studying mechatronics engineering.
That sounds very smart.
Oh, well.
And you're very modest as well. What's the key drive in your life to embark on multi-faith and multiculturalism?
So religious education has been a very big part of my personal growth. I attended the PLLC Learning College Children Foundation classes during both primary and secondary school. And I think the first traditional Chinese literature that we learned in these Chinese classes was definitely 弟子规. So 弟子规 translated as guidelines for being a good person. It's used for children to learn moral norms, and it covers core values of respect, resilience, integrity, harmony, and social responsibility. So the book sets out guidelines for being a moral and responsible member of society. And it is really suitable for young children to understand and to relate to. So attending PLLC Learning College's Children Foundation classes, it provides a very encouraging environment to implement the philosophy of 弟子规 in my everyday life. Our teachers would get us to do reflective exercises, to monitor our own behavior, be mindful of our own behavior. And under the mentorship of various teachers, I gradually did realize that how much 弟子规 permeates my daily life. So I would like to share the stanza that is that resonates with me the most. So it's 凡世人皆须爱，天同覆，地同在. So human beings, regardless of nationality, race, or religion, everyone should be loved equally. We are all sheltered by the same sky, and we all live on the same planet Earth.
It's pretty powerful stuff, don't you think, ladies and gentlemen? So how do you immerse yourself, or, I'd like to use the word engage, I think that's probably a better word. How do you sort of engage in sort of day-to-day life?
So I guess growing up surrounded with the diversity in Toowoomba, I guess I often saw like the differences between people, but going to the Children Foundation classes, I was able to learn how to change that mindset and attitude, and how to focus on the similarities which unite people. And I think that is the biggest lesson that I've learned from these classes, from the religious education that I've been receiving. And so I'd just like to share with everyone some engagement activities that I've been involved with. So I was involved in a Dance for Kindness flash mob. So this event, it's an event organized by the non-profit called Life Vest Inside, and their motto is "Kindness keeps the world afloat." So it symbolizes kindness as a life vest that all humans can reach out to. And this slogan really inspired me to move out of my comfort zone and to, I guess, implementing that Dizugui stanza in my everyday life. So I took the courage, and despite lack of experience, I organized a Dance for Kindness event in Toowoomba, and I'm proud to say that that year it was one of the only 2 Australian cities that was involved in this event. So here are some photos of the event. The team at Life Vest Inside was really encouraging. They provided all the logistical sort of guidelines, instructions. So I think it really helped me grow professionally as well. But I think the most poignant lesson I learned was definitely the sense of unity that I shared with my peers when we were together organizing this event and really pushing the kindness movement forward, really implementing the core values of respect for each other. All of the entire event was really organized by my peers and myself. We really pushed for promotion, so we got in touch with the local newspapers. We contacted the local plaza to use their premises for the flash mob dance event. And together, I think this whole journey was our reward. We really learned a lot about the diversity just among peers of my own age. And this event really brought us together to do something for kindness, to show that we are part of this movement.
That's excellent. Well done. Can you finally share a little bit more about your life as a younger member of the Toowoomba community, and what do you like most?
Okay, so I think as a Buddhist representative of Toowoomba, I think when I see my peers being able to look past our differences and do something collectively, I think that is a very powerful energy. That's a very positive sort of environment, and I really, really want to grow that and include more and more young people together on this journey. So here you can see this is at a youth conference in Toowoomba, and during my last year of high school, I was involved with youth conferences that really talked about leadership and how we should take the responsibility of forging understanding between young people from different religious race backgrounds. So I think I would link back to Dizugui, how all the activities I've been involved in, I've really been able to sense that power behind just that one stanza, how much it means, and why we really need to push it forward in today's society among young people.
Young Wei, you're an inspirational young lady. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I'd now like to call upon Dr. Kumar to the hot seat, and whilst she's making her way forward, I'll read her brief bio. Uma is a volunteer trainer for the Heartfulness Institute and has been a practicing heartfulness mediation for 16 years. Herself, her husband and children, who are here today, thank you for joining us, and a little wave as well, hello, have settled in Toowoomba in 2006, where both are practicing as a doctor and also as a dentist. Could you please explain about the Heartfulness Institute and its role in Toowoomba?
Thank you, Andrew, for your introduction, and good morning, everyone. So yes, I'll give everyone a bit of a background of the Heartfulness Institute. So basically our institute is a non-governmental organisation, and we're associated with the United Nations Public Information Department. So we run as a global and non-profit organisation, which means we run on volunteers. We don't charge for our services. So we have thousands of volunteer trainers around the world in about 130 or more countries. And we serve over 1 million meditators. And within this, myself and my husband are both volunteer trainers in Toowoomba and its surrounds. So basically, Heartfulness provides education and meditation sessions to anyone in the community. So we service any families, adults. We're available for any kind of governmental organisations or private organisations. We've presented and educated the local main roads and transport department and some private companies, the university. So basically our aim is to bring unity, bring unity within families, hopefully that overflows into communities, and to bring goodwill.
How has the Heartfulness Institute evolved in Toowoomba, and what organisations has it collaborated with? And you spoke about main roads just before.
Yes.
I think they probably need it. And what events have you been involved with? What other events have you been involved with?
Yes. So we started providing meditation classes and education from the year of 2009 in Toowoomba. We started off by giving sessions or providing sessions at the local University of Southern Queensland, and that was under the multi-faith services. So we were lucky because that's where we were introduced to the Pure Land Learning College Association. And of course, this alliance has been very helpful because then we went on to connect with the Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group, the Goodwill Committee. And of course, these connections empower us. So it's given us energy to be able to fulfill our purpose. And through this, of course, we try and involve ourselves with their events and organisation, any seminars or conferences. But again, we are trying to, we volunteer our services for these things. So we've been in the Women's Forum, we've presented there, we have been doing radio presentations through the Voices of Faith, coordinated with other faith groups. And of course, so this is a two-way thing. We're giving and we're receiving through this alliance.
How has the local regional council, and just to give it some perspective, the Toowoomba Regional Council area by landmass is the same size as France, so it's quite a large area. How has the local council and the university played a part in your mission?
So I'll first talk about the Toowoomba Regional Council. So they're very supportive for us. So they have a well-being program for all the residents in Toowoomba and its surrounds, and it's called the Change Project, which you'll see on the slide up there. And this is a program that provides low-cost or free activities just purely for the well-being of individuals. So they've supported us in allowing us to run 2 sessions a week for the community, and of course that allows us not to charge anyone, so it's available free. And with their support, they promote us through their social media, through magazines, and through their events. So it's allowed us to reach out further. So that's been wonderful. And the University of Southern Queensland, of course, from the start of us reaching out to everyone, have been very supportive in, again, giving us premises and helping us promote our meditation sessions and our education that we do there weekly. And the newest thing in the last probably 2-3 years, they've been running peace celebrations, which is associated with the United Nations International Peace Day. And we're helping in the organisation of that. And of course, there's many other faith groups involved in that as well. So yes, this collaboration has really helped us reach out more than us standing alone. So it's been very good.
And as you're saying, you know, by virtue of getting involved with one organisation, you've met another and another, and that sort of network effect. And here you find yourself in Paris today.
Yes.
Final question, what role does education play in your work? And we've already heard from some of the panellists, you know, the importance of education. And how can educating the youth of Toowoomba around meditation benefit the whole community?
Yes, so we believe that experience is a form of education. So we realise that youth, especially the modern youth, they don't really respond as much anymore to advice or preaching or learning from our traditional books. So of course this makes it challenging. So what we're trying to do is engage them with their common dialogue and their social media, and helping them network with similar youth and with inspirational or positive role models. And then to further deepen this experience, we try and complement it with meditation so they can take it into a personal and deeper level. So we're really trying to create an environment that guides them, you know, so, and the aim being having more conscientious youth members, you know, in our community, and hopefully some leaders as well from that. And that's our aim. So I'll go on to how we're going to try and do this. So there's going to be a youth peace conference on October 13th in Toowoomba. And this is led by the youth. So there's a Goodwill committee and there's a youth wing that has been, you know, created. And these they're girls at the moment, there's no boys, are actually driving the whole conference. So it's going to be a very interactive sessions and, you know, things that they enjoy. And then after that, we're going to have a national heartfulness seminar in Toowoomba that follows in December. This is going to be very similar, very interactive, led by the youth. But it's going to go on the sense of, you know, trying to inspire them, having speakers that inspire them and kind of making it more personal, making them realise that they can be citizens that can change their community and their, you know, their wherever they are, whichever way they want to. So I think the ultimate aim is investing in our youth, to invest in our youth, because we can create this peace and harmony, but they're the ones that are going to sustain it.
And as we were talking about just outside there before, they've got to own it.
Yes.
Because if they don't own it, we don't want to be preaching to them, we want them to be sort of leading it. And I think Richard touched on that as well. We really want to be sort of leading that as well.
Yes, yes. And can I add one more thing?
Oh, I'm sure we can.
Do I have time? I just want to emphasise the fact that a normal citizen of a community has the power to do this. So from my point of view, I'm a mother, a professional, you know, have a different line of work, but still we can contribute to this dream of peace and harmony everywhere. So I think it has to be emphasised that everyone has the power to do this.
And what an amazing job you and your husband are doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I now call upon Venerable Shin. Venerable Shin is one of the Venerables at Pure Land Learning College since 2001. She is a member of the Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group and the Toowoomba Goodwill Committee. She's been teaching Buddhism and is involved in chaplaincy and interfaith work. Pure Land Learning College established in 2001, and the friendship dinners, which Shin briefly mentioned, started in 2002. Can you tell us a little bit more about those, please?
This idea was actually inspired by Venerable Master Chin Kong. We were very fortunate at Pure Land College Association that we have Venerable Master Chin Kong to guide us And it started because we have this open day, and we had this gathering and vegetarian buffet. And I think after that event, someone, probably a neighbor, came up to us and asked Venerable Master, could we have more of this gathering? And Venerable Master said, sure, we'll do that. And he made this promise, and we have been doing it since then. So it's held every Saturday at 5 p.m.
And as you can see on these, well, as you and I can see on the slide, but everybody else behind us there, you know, this is Chinese New Year by the looks of it. I mean, you get hundreds, don't you? Like literally hundreds turn up to this. And how much does Pure Land charge?
No cost.
No cost.
Yeah.
You know, and so as someone who's been fortunate enough to attend these events, there's no, dare I say it, hard sell. It's just really engagement and talking over food and experiencing good times and great entertainment. So, you know, as a member of the community, it certainly is a great thing. And as you can see, lots of other people seem to think the same thing as well.
Yeah, so for this big event, I think we celebrate the Christmas and Chinese New Year. So these are the two major events once a year.
And in fact, looking at the slide, my wife is sitting in the front row there with the red dress. The Venerable Master Chin Kung often emphasises the importance of religious education. What programs have been implemented to further peace and harmony through education?
In fact, other than the Buddhist lectures that we have every day, we also invited people of various faiths to come and speak at our faith sharing. And during this faith sharing or interfaith forums, we try to get people to come and learn more about each other's faith teachings and cultures, because Venerable Master felt that this way, when more people understand each other, less misunderstanding will come about, and many confrontations or conflicts can be resolved through understanding. So I think we have workshops as well that we hold maybe 3 or 4 times a year together with the Interfaith Conference.
And my last question, what do you feel is important to bring peace to society?
In fact, we have been doing this moral and virtues program since I think about 3 years ago. And this program continues like once a month. For the English program, we hold it only during the holidays. But the thing about this program is we are trying to follow the model where the program started off talking about the macro view of the world and how humans' actions impact the world. And then the second day, we talk about the family unit, the values needed to help a family be closer, and we talk about family relationships and what we can do to get closer as well. And the third, we also have cooking classes where we try to bring the family members, to make Chinese dumplings. So that way people learn about the hard work and efforts that each family has put in every day, and to appreciate each other. And for the 4th and the 5th day is more on inspirational examples that we can find in daily life, as well as individual cultivation, because when an individual is healthy, we will be able to see the change we want to see in the world.
Mei Ling, can we just go back to that previous slide? I just wanted to point out Wu Chin in the great-looking apron there on the bottom left. So you enjoy doing your cooking?
Yeah, I do. Because I'm just doing it for fun, so I do enjoy it. I'm not sure whether if it's cooking for hundreds, whether I could be the same.
You look like you're having a great time. Wu Chin, some important messages there. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew.
Our last presenter, before we have Hanif close out our session, is Scott McGrath. Scott is the current chairperson of the Goodwill Committee of Toowoomba and has been a member of the Goodwill Committee since its formation in 2012. Scott is a sergeant in the Queensland Police Service, so I am behaving myself, and has been a police officer for over 25 years. Scott is on a number of community boards and committees, And I might add, Scott was recognised as one of the 100 most influential people in Toowoomba as well, as was Hanif, I might add, as well. Scott is on a number of community boards and committees and has received numerous awards for excellence in recognition of his humanitarian and community work. Scott, it's great to be having a chat to you.
Thanks, Andrew.
So the Goodwill Committee has been working towards a model city of peace and harmony for the last 6 years. Can you please give me some examples of what the GWC, the Goodwill Committee, has achieved over this time?
Okay, Andrew. I just want to start my presentation with a quote from Eleanor Franklin, who said, "It isn't enough to talk about peace, one must believe in it. And it isn't enough to believe in it, one must work at it." So we're saying actions, I think, speak louder than words sometimes. So that's what I believe the Goodwill Committee is trying to do, establish some actions that will move us towards peace and harmony. So for that question, I've sort of summarised some of the work we're doing, and I've put it into 7 sort of categories or areas, in which I'll give us a single or a couple of examples of the work that we undertake. There are other works being undertaken, but due to the time restrictions, I'm not going to expand into too many. So firstly, we have actively engaged with the community to promote peace and harmony. Promoting our vision, listening to people, letting the community know who we are and what our vision is. An example of this is going and guest speaking with the community at different meetings or different groups, or some of the displays we've had at community events. Secondly, celebrating diversity, bringing people from diverse backgrounds together and ensuring people from culturally, linguistic and diverse backgrounds are involved. My example of this is our community tea gatherings that we run. Building social inclusion would be my third example. Identifying people and groups who are at risk of becoming socially isolated or socially excluded. My example of this is an event we have called Walking as One. Building trust and strengthening relationships. We supported and assisted the Toowoomba Regional Council in its application to become a refugee welcome zone. We've also developed an affirmation for peace and harmony, which can be used at community events. The fifth point I cover is building and strengthening the vision of peace and harmony. We have been partnering with people, groups and organisations who have similar visions of peace and harmony and social inclusion, so building our strength. For example, we have partnered with Lions International to run our Youth Peace Awards. Number 6 was a point I called Righting Wrongs, which is looking at social justice advocacy, assisting to create peaceful resolutions. Some of the work we've done in this area is running conflict resolution workshops, or the commissioning of the Aboriginal Reconciliation Mural. 7, is my last point, is investing in our future, working with our future generations. For this topic, we're going to run a short video. This is the Youth Peace Group that has been mentioned previously. These are our young agents for change in the Toowoomba community. So if we could run that video.
Hi, I'm Yentor. I'm a member of the Toowoomba Youth Peace Group. Come in, I'll show you around. Oh, hey Lakshmi. Tell us a bit about yourself.
So I'm Lakshmi, I'm from Fairholme, and our group is made up of quite a few teens, and we're just trying to advocate peace within the community. We're trying to plan for a conference in November?
October the 13th.
Yeah.
At Hume Ridge. Stay tuned. And then cut to the next scene. Go ahead. Oh, hey!
I'm Masa. I'm from Fairholme College. Yeah.
And what grade are you in, Masa?
I'm in grade 8.
Would you mind showing us your crib?
Yeah, sure. Come in.
Whoa, what's going on in here, Masa?
It's a meeting room and we're all working on our art.
What are these shirts for?
These shirts are for membership for the conference. Yeah. Everyone's working on it, as you can see. Hey.
Tell us, what's your name?
Oh, I'm Connie and I'm from Centennial Heights State High School and I'm one of the members of the Toowoomba Youth Peace Group.
And what's your name?
Okay, I'm Rahila and I'm at High State High School and at the moment I'm working on my shirt. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Claire from St Ursula's and our conference will be on the 13th of October and we'll go from 9:30 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon at Hume Ridge. We'd love to see you there.
Hey Masa, what are you looking at?
Hi, this is the program and this is the flyer. As you can see, the main theme of this conference is what we influence versus what influences us. We have many great speakers and we have many interesting sessions for the day. The lunch is provided, so we hope to see many of you there.
You weren't the director of that video by chance, were you, Scott? No, these young people are beautiful, they're passionate. I wasn't the director of that though, I'm afraid. But you can obviously see their passion just by watching that. I mean, they're obviously young and they're nervous, but they've got a really important message and showing that initiative is great. How do you measure the success of the work being done in Toowoomba? Okay, so for measuring the success, I always find it difficult to measure what a community or a group has prevented. So that is a challenge. But for this, I've broken it into quantitative and qualitative sort of areas. So some of the quantitative areas we would look at is the number of initiatives we've undertaken in a 12-month period, what new partnerships we've formed, some statistical reviewing, like comparisons of crimes of violence, what the stats are around that. Things like numbers or incidents of hate crimes, religious or cultural discrimination or vilification, those types of things that affect our community. Also some things around homelessness and issues like that, which are significant to members of our community. So qualitatively, we might look at feedback that we're getting on the work we're doing, positive multicultural reports in the local media, inquiries from other communities about the work we're doing, annual reviews of our achievements and setting future goals, and currently we're looking at academia assisting us with measuring some of our outcomes. So that's just a snapshot of how we might measure what we're doing. Some really useful guideposts there, Scott. My last question, what do you see some of the future challenges for the group? So for our group and our community, I suppose, we're looking at issue-motivated groups, which may be likely to cause division in our community. The global events that affect us locally. Things like the political landscape and how that's evolving. And also things like employment, language opportunities to learn new languages or English, transportation, things like that help build and connect our community. So there's some of the things we see as some of our future areas of work and challenges. The other one, a little off script, that I think you've been working on is relating to media training. Sadly, in Australia, the media can be inflammatory in some instances, and so your work with some of the groups that perhaps don't have the skill set in dealing with the media, I think has been really invaluable as well.
Yeah, that's right. We're currently trying to run workshops with some of our refugee and migrant groups so they can tell their stories in our local community. And for them to take that step forward can be challenging. So providing them with some skills that they can, tools that they can use to do that. So this is the end of my presentation. All I'd like to say was that to all my global brothers and sisters, keep up the good fight, and the world is depending on the work we're all doing. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Scott. So to conclude our presentation, I don't think I actually need to introduce Hanif, but of course I will. Everyone knows who Hanif is. Hanif is the reason that I would argue we're all sitting here today. It is his fault. And also Mei Ling, who's hiding at the back there. Mohammed Hanif Abdul Razak is an ex-civil servant and has served in overseas missions including the UN in Africa before moving to community services. He has helped to develop the Harmony Centre, an Interfaith centre, the first of its kind in Singapore, and subsequently became the head of the centre before moving to Australia at the invitation of the Venerable Master to be part of Pure Land's family. Hanif, please come forward.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Andrew, thank you for that generous introduction. It's very nice of you. Now, I come here in peace, and I like to begin with this word, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, which is the very verse that is spoken in 113 opening verse of the 113 verses of the 114 that you find in the Quran. And it is Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, which means peace and blessings to all of you. And I'll also say Namaste to my Hindu brothers, Sat Sri Akal to the Sikh, and Shalom to the others, and to the rest, peace be upon you. And to all my colleagues in Pure Land, I'll say to you, Mi Tofo. Now, I am going to share with you, because I've been asked to share why Toowoomba is able to connect the communities amidst its diversity in faith, culture, to come and live together harmoniously and peacefully. Now, what a better way that I can do is to tell you is a story. I think stories connect people. Stories tell a lot of things, and stories help you to communicate and converse. Now, how does this journey begin? Quite rightly. Now, I want to remind you too that I'm not the newsmaker, right? Because I'm just a news reader. These are the people, the newsmaker. So I'm just coming here to read the news to you. Now, how does this journey begin? It begins with what seemingly a simple community getting together, having a meal, sharing stories. That's the masterpiece, the icon of the Venerable Master Chin Kung. That's the friendship dinner. Now, I'll come back to the friendship dinner later, but let me share some of the things which I think we like to remind ourselves. Now, we need to remind ourselves constantly, because then I think in that way, it's a learning process. Now, one, we recognize humans are bundles of potentials. And I can tell you, all of you here are potentials. You have lots to do to contribute towards peace and harmony, and you can do lots more if you come and join our session later at room 5 to help us how we could take this journey to a step ahead. Now, we recognize building blocks of life are relationship. relationship, interfaith, harmony, social cohesion. It's all about relationship. And I think this was pointed out by one of our excellencies yesterday. And we recognize, we educate, we communicate, we don't teach. We recognize, and I think this is something that technology, my dear friends and distinguished guests and your excellencies, which I share with you, cannot replace human conversation. I think here we have the arrival of the Venerable Master Ching Kung, so I shall stop for a minute. Now I come back to this friendship dinner. As I said, a simple meal. Now what has this friendship dinner created? It has created an opportunity for conversation. It creates a safe space for the community to be together. It builds bonds and fellowship. And what emerges? Trust. From this friendship dinner, trust emerges. If you take into every single alphabet of the word trust, T-R-U-S-T, it's all positive. T represents trust. R, you can use it for respect. U is understanding. S is sincere, and T is truthful. So if you just use that every alphabet of the word trust. Now my question now is, why do people journey with you? I'll touch a little bit more on that. They journey in with you because they believe in what you believe in. Now, have you ever asked the question, why is Apple successful? Now, you do that search. And now, the question is, why am I here? Why am I here? I was brought up by a Christian grandmother. My father is an Indian. My mother is a Chinese. I'm a Muslim, and I serve the Buddhist, the Venerable Master Ching Kung Pure Land Learning College. It's because I believe in what the Master believes in, and on the left of the Master is my teacher, Imam Habib Hassan. When I first met the Master, he asked me to join him. That was 10 years ago. All Imam Habib Hassan answered to me is go. I met the Master, and I want to tell you a story that we discussed this issue about working together. He's here. It's all right. You know where we spoke about this? I'll tell you. McDonald's. The Master and myself and a couple of us sat in McDonald's to sit down and talk about working together. I have not an ounce of doubt of his sincerity And I believe in what I believe in, because that's important, as I said. It's only when you have that trust emerge. So when you build trust among people, people are willing to take risks, they are willing to experiment, they are willing to explore with you. Now, this promoting religious and social harmony is a noble cause, it's sacred, it's an investment for the future generation. Well, what is about Toowoomba, as I say, why is it that we are able to do it? Because there are certain guidelines which you may have to change and adapt and adopt to your environmental setting. Not necessarily what we do is right, can also apply in your community. Now, we have a simple guideline. We have what we call a strategic roadmap, which includes the core program. It's just like if you want to move from point A to point B. It's necessary for you to have a direction, a GPS, which is now commonly being used, or a map, which we used previously. And you need a tagline. The tagline that is easily identifiable. So what's our tagline? Everyone matters. Just like Nike. Why Nike sells? Just do it. And we have what we call an organized platform. That's the action plan. Because the action plan helps you to do a check, helps you to guide to what your directions are. Now, coming to the program, our programs and action plan are crafted along the 4 cardinal points which the Master emphasized yesterday. The spirit of sharing, the spirit of kind words, beneficial act, and cooperation. The spirit of sharing, which my colleagues have mentioned, the friendship dinner, the harmony lunches, the tea gathering, the language and cultural festival, the kind words, social values and ethic classes, beneficial act. As mentioned, if you have something extra, share it with a person. What's the problem? Give it. If you think you have 2 apples and your neighbor needs 1, just give it to your neighbor. Share that. That will build the bonds. That will build trust. And they'll journey with you together. And cooperation. All those various conferences, the walks, the warm hospitality, the meditation, praying together. These are some of the examples that you can see. Well, in a small way, under the leadership and guidance of the Venerable Master Ching Kung, we have been able to bring the community closer, accept religious and cultural diversity as our way of life. Though we know we're not there yet, but we have gained much wisdom. We are richer to treasure our happiness, living in a diverse community. Maybe we are fortunate. Toowoomba is fortunate because we have a responsible leadership at the helm. We have a community-driven ownership action plan. Our action plan, you must involve the community because they are the people that is going to journey with you. Don't tell them, as I said, leadership reminds, authority tells, but you're not the authority. If you play the role of a leadership, you remind. Remind them means reminding yourself and involving them itself. So these are the list of our partners who sits together and come out with that action plan. That's what I say, it has to be a community-owned action plan. We believe in conversation, not in debate. We educate, we don't teach. We practice servant leadership, quite rightly mentioned, serve the people. The position you have is only temporary. So practice that servant leadership. And something we subscribe very strongly, that is the 101%. Now, what does that mean? If we have difficulty and we have only 1% of chances of success in working with that person, we still put in 100% of the effort, because that makes a lot of difference. And I think we have cases that we manage that. Simple tagline, everyone matters. Get everyone on board. We subscribe. Start doing that. Emotional bank investment. I think that's very, very important. And we constantly remind ourselves, the mind debates, the heart relates. So use your heart to relate, not using your mind to debate. Because interfaith, social harmony, social cohesion, you don't want to go into a debate. You want to go into a conversation. You want the heart to relate, because that's where the trust will emerge. And once you have that trust, I'll journey with you, just like I tell you why I journey. A Muslim journeying with a Buddhist, because I believe in what you believe in. Now, there's still work in progress. There's a lot of things to be done, but just quickly to give you some updates of what's happening in Toowoomba. We are very fortunate. We have been designated as a safe city just this year in May 2018. We have the great pleasure of a research project undertaken by the Deakin University to do a study on why is it religious and social harmony thrives in Toowoomba. Now this study, this research paper, will be made available, that's what we've been promised by Deakin, to all the higher institutions of learning and all those who want it. So it's their version. It's a very objective thing, because we don't stop them from publishing what they feel that is good for the community. We are also a finalist in this year 2018 Multicultural Award of the 160 nominations. We were one of the finalists, the 4th runner-up. And we have recently an attachment from Harvard University, a student who comes and wants to do a research on what takes in Toowoomba. Why are we able to work together? And also we have inspired the opening of the Multicultural Faith and Cultural Dialogue Center. So currently in progress, we are very inspired. We have 2 countries that have expressed their interest to adopt the Toowoomba's model. And by the end of the year, we'll be launching the Interfaith TV titled Toowoomba Interfaith 360. And in December, we are running a social and ethics and values camp for 50 Scout leaders, because we are going to help to develop this within the Scout leaders, because they have their own groups that they can develop. And for year 2019, we are going to run a 3-day international workshop on building local capacities for peace and harmony for peace advocates, faith leaders, government, and NGOs. And we have just formed a working committee on developing a multi-faith clearinghouse by year 2012. Well, that much, because time is constrained. And I thank you for giving me the time. And I think before I leave, one very significant point that I thought I want to share, which you may agree or you may disagree. I think in this country of France, by winning the World Cup, has taught us that they brought a global citizenship together, united and win the World Cup. Go and do this profile. And I think they are a very good example of you can bring people together, you can work together, you can achieve something. And for that, I thank you for your time, and I do hope that we can have the opportunity later if you want to share with us more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Hanif. And on behalf of the Toowoomba contingent, thank you again for the opportunity of presenting to you this morning. Have a nice day. We look forward to seeing you at 12:40 in meeting room 5. Thank you.
May we invite the Toowoomba group to take a group photo on stage.